Hi, my name is Daniel Yuck. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you, your time, and your support. In today's video, I want to dive into an in-depth review and take a close-up look with you at the Shading Journal Volume 1. For those who aren't familiar or may not know, I do have an assortment of various tattooing workbooks that I've created that help us with lining, as you can see, shading as well, and many other aspects within the world of tattooing. These workbooks are available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Nobles. Just go ahead and head on over to either or, type in Daniel Yuck, and you'll see an assortment of workbooks come up. For this review, this is going to be based on the Shading Journal Volume 1. At any point throughout this video, if you have any questions at all, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. I'm going to do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. I will also leave my Amazon affiliate links and other affiliate links for you in the description below so you can check out the gear featured in this video on your end. One last thing, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that bell for me, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. I do also have social medias under the same name as my YouTube. I have Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. I would appreciate the support over there as well. With that being said, let's get right on into this. Are you wanting to develop your tattooing skill sets? Now you can practice and develop anytime, any place with an assortment of tattooing workbooks that I've created. With these assorted tattooing workbooks, we can practice our basic lining all the way to advanced lining. We can practice shading, shading placement, dot work, textures, and more. All we are going to need is a tattoo workbook of mine. We can use a pencil, pen. We can even use a tattoo machine with the Ballpoint cartridge to develop our tattooing abilities further. That means that we don't need tattoo ink, we don't need napkins or petroleum jelly to get to practicing. Simply open one of my tattooing workbooks and get going. It really is that easy. You can get your hands on one of my developmental tattooing assorted workbooks by simply clicking the links in my description or in the pinned comment section below, or navigating on over to Amazon.com, typing in Daniel Yuck, and you'll see all of the assorted tattoo workbooks that I've created come up. If you have an Amazon account, be sure to follow my Amazon author page as well, as I would greatly appreciate your support. Should you have any questions at all, drop them in the comment section down below. I will do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. With that being said, let's get right back into this video. Right here in front of me, I have the Shading Journal Volume 1 Basic Shading Exercises. This tattooing workbook is a fantastic introduction to shading. Within the Shading Journal Volume 1, we are going to be going through a number of various different exercises that's going to help us get better and more acquainted with shading. We are going to be practicing shading in different directions. We're going to be focusing on technical application along the way. So by the end of this workbook, you will have a better grasp on shading than you do right now currently if you're not familiar with shading at all. Let's take a close-up look at the workbook, and then we'll go ahead and look at the inside and then get into some exercises here so that way we can know what to expect from the Shading Journal Volume 1. So this right here is the front cover. You can see that it does have a gloss finish. So the Shading Journal Volume 1 Basic Shading Exercises. There are over 700 basic shading exercises. Each page has tips, tricks, and objectives as well to help kind of keep us motivated and guide us through the process. And at the end, there is a certificate of completion, much like the Tattoo Journals Volume 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to notice going down, the graphics kind of represent shading, as you can see here. You can practice on the go, anytime, anywhere. All you need is your machine, a pencil or pen, and the workbook. You can practice anywhere. So this really allows us to optimize our practice and progress in a much quicker manner. So here is the spine right here. You can see that it is a pretty thick workbook. Let me show you full 360 of the workbook so that way you know what to expect on your end. And this is the back right here. So as you can see, here are some things that we can practice. Practice shading, shading placements, shading depth, shading values, whip motions, posture, textures, cross hatching, hand speed, voltage. You can even use a tattoo machine with the Ballpoint cartridge to practice to optimize your practicing. The workbook has a full 360 gloss finish, as you can see. And that right there is the entire workbook, full 360. Allow me to show you kind of the inside. We'll run through some exercises as well. So this is the first page of the Shading Journal. And then from there, we get right on into the exercises. So here is the first page that contains the exercises. You can see we have an objective, and then there is a tip here as well. So for example, the objective says, follow the arrow's direction and use downward whip motions to create a gradual shade/fade. Over here it says tip. We are starting out at the basic levels of shading. The exercises will get more advanced and more difficult as we progress throughout this shading series. So the idea is, and you can see we have arrows guiding us. So you can see the arrows are pointing down. So what we're going to do is we're going to start up here, and then we're going to kind of use whip motions to create a gradual fade similar to this right here. And that is the idea for every single exercise. You're going to notice throughout the workbook, the exercises do change and get a little bit more advanced to start pressing and applying a little bit more pressure and pushing the limits so that way we can progress at a much faster rate. But you can see here that there are going to be various exercises from circles, squares, rectangles, triangles, circles in all different directions, as you can see. I kind of like this right here. I think that these are going to be real useful as well. As you can see, this kind of looks like a circle that's popping out of the paper a little bit. So there are going to be various exercises that we're going to go through so that way we can really optimize our shading. Let me go ahead and kind of just show you all the way through here. Various shapes, different directions, all the way through. Hope this can give you an idea as to what you can expect. As you can see, all the way. And each page, again, has an objective, tip, and has arrows to help guide us throughout the entire process. So that way we're not left in the dark at any point throughout this workbook. And the certificate of completion is at the end right here. And that right there is the entire workbook right there. So that right there is the entire the entire contents of the Shading Journal Volume 1. For those who may not be familiar, as I mentioned earlier in the video, there are an assortment of tattooing workbooks that specialize in lining. So you can see I have the Tattoo Journal Volume 1, 2, and 3 right here, and these specialize in lining, as well as Volume 2 and 3 kind of introduce us to shading. So I do have an assortment of workbooks that specialize in lining. I do have an assortment of workbooks that I'm creating that are specializing in shading. I also do have an assortment of various workbooks that specialize in other things, such as, you can see I have one that's for pointillism. I do have another where we can practice vehicles, as you can see here. There is another workbook that we can use to practice facial features, as you can see right here, and the list goes on and on and on. There's another workbook if we want to practice our floral designs as well. So I have multiple workbooks that are catered to helping us develop anytime, any place, to help us progress at a much quicker rate. A quick tip: when we are starting out and getting our exercises within these workbooks, especially if we're not familiar, what I would recommend is, if you're not using a tattoo machine just yet, you can definitely use a pencil or a pen. I would recommend, especially if you're just starting out and you've never shaded before, you may want to use a pencil, so that way you don't have to commit and you can erase should you not like your results. And then once you get more comfortable, graduate to a pen. However, we can, as I mentioned, use a tattoo machine with a ballpoint cartridge like this. So you can see here's an ink claw setup. Here is the ink claw More Money tattoo machine with the ink claw grip, and then here's an ink claw ballpoint cartridge. I can use this to practice. Now here's the thing: if I'm breaking through the paper, then obviously I'm gonna need a little bit more work on my needle depth and aligning my settings. However, what I would recommend to do, so that way we prevent any damage from the exercises on the back, I would recommend getting a sheet of paper or two, or a piece of cardstock like this, which is a little bit thicker than paper, and then placing it in the back of the paper, just so that way if we happen to break through the paper, we won't damage the exercises in the back. Here's another thing: if we don't break through the paper and we apply the exercise correctly, that means we're off to a very good start. Now that we've taken a closer look at the shading journal, what I would like to do is switch on over to a different angle. I want to kind of go through some time lapses, some real time, and kind of just talk a little bit more about the journal, show you what it's like to exercise within the Shading Journal Volume 1, and then we can come back and conclude the video. Here we are at a side view, and I kind of want to show you some examples of some exercises here. As I've mentioned, I'm using my ink claw setup here to practice. I'm running at 5 volts. I do have my cardstock behind the paper, and I'm just going to kind of begin getting in motion here. So where I'm going to begin is according to the directions here. So in correspondence to this example, it's saying start from here, and then we're going to kind of use whip motions to go down. What's great about this is, let's say if you're just starting out, you don't know what motions to make, you're going to get comfortable with these motions. These workbooks are designed for us to make mistakes. We can make the mistakes within these workbooks, so that way we can progress. So allow me to go ahead and kind of continue here, and I'll make these mistakes as best I can. And then from here, all I'm going to do is just essentially begin my first layer of shades as the directions are explaining here. So I'm going to start up here, And then I'm just going to use whip motions out like so. And I'm just using the very, very tip of the ballpoint cartridge, depositing small amounts of ink at a time here. So I'm getting comfortable with my whip motions, I'm getting comfortable with my hand speed to my voltage as well. I'm getting comfortable with a little bit of cross hatching. I kind of want to smooth this out a little bit so I can come over here and cross hatch. So you can see I'm able to kind of do anything that I feel is necessary to accomplish the results that I'm going for. I feel like it's important to remember there really is no right or wrong, especially when we're practicing and starting out. I feel like going through the motions and making the mistakes is crucial to development. So you can see that's what this exercise is consisting of. And you don't have to do the whole page at once. You can kind of do one of these warm-ups, go on to another exercise, and kind of just do one on each page every time until you knock out the entire book. That's also healthy, I feel. I think you should just follow what you feel natural as the artist in terms of practicing here. So you can see I'm just kind of working the shades down as best I can here. I'm practicing whip motions, different speeds. I'm able to see the results that I'm getting here to kind of let me know, okay, if I need to move a little bit slower, if I need to move a little bit faster. So off the bat, there are many benefits from practicing right here. As you can see, I haven't broken through the paper, which is a good sign, but I have gone over quite a few times already. So I feel like I'm off to a very good start here. I'm also not worried about ruining the exercises on the back of on the next page because we have that cardstock there, as I mentioned earlier as well. You can kind of see I'm sculpting. So even just in this one little exercise right here, I've practiced shading in multiple directions. I've practiced layering. I'm practicing my hand speed to my voltage. And you can see I'm accomplishing a textured shading, exactly what I'm going for. Now, personal preference, I'm choosing to round it off up here. You don't have to, that's going to be subjective. You can kind of approach each one of these exercises a little bit different each and every time you do them. So you can see, many layers later, I'm getting a kind of sort of smooth gradient shading here, exactly what I'm going for. However, it takes time. As you can see, I'm slowly building up these layers. I'm identifying my boundaries and where I don't want to go past. I'm figuring out how I want to apply the shading. You get the idea. So there's a lot that's going on right here that we may not even realize when we are practicing, but all of these variables are going to begin to add up. So you can see I'm learning how to do longer motions. Some of them are hitting a little bit more pressure, making darker dots. So therefore I'm going to have to adjust and learn how to make cleaner motions to leave consistent tone dots all the way through. That's another thing. I feel like working in the workbooks will leave us, especially if we haven't even started on fake skin, investing into some workbooks will put us in a much better position and have us much more equipped to tattoo fake skin with better results than to not practice. So you can kind of see though, I'm following the exercises and I'm trying to accomplish these shadings as smooth as I can. If you don't want to use a black ink, you can use any colored ink you like. It really doesn't matter. which you can see I'm just going to kind of layer and layer and layer until I've reached a point that I'm happy with. So I would consider this the foundation of this shade. From here I can go back in and fine tune, tighten everything up and put all the gradients where I want them, all the tones where I want them. You get the idea. So you can see that I'm actually getting practice in that's really going to apply to real world tattooing. I feel like the stepping stones are like this. I feel like it'd be great to start off in workbooks like this on paper. Once we get comfortable and acquainted, advance to fake skin, and then stay there for a good while until we've mastered everything that we need to learn, and then we could begin tattooing human skin. I do feel like those are very healthy stepping stones. I'm sure some of us are going to disagree. However, in my opinion, I feel like that's a great way to approach it. So you can see I'm practicing my hand speed voltage, my whip motions. Like so. As you can see, I practice my pendulum motions back and forth like this. So you can see I'm using pendulum motions to kind of smooth things out here. And I can even use cross hatching as well to smooth things out even more. And I haven't gotten close to breaking through the paper, not even a little bit here. As you can see, there's barely even any textures on the other side, which means after all of those layers and after all of that going over and over, I'm off to a very good start because I haven't even dented the paper. So this lets me know that I'm clearly on the right track in terms of technical application and depth, because I'm still able to apply a shade, as we can see here. Every exercise is going to offer a little something different. So you can see here are some rectangles, and you can see these arrows are showing us how to apply the shading in different motions. So we could apply the shading starting right here, for example, bringing whip motions down like this, and then this way like this. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and kind of just follow it out like so, the same way that I have been. So I'm using whip motions going down, and then I can do some cross hatching with whip motions going this way as well to kind of help smooth things out. You get the idea. So every exercise is going to offer something a little different. You can see I'm establishing a boundary right there, and then from here I can kind of begin applying the sideways shading going this way. And then I'm going to repeat that this way over here. So you can see it's just a literal process of patience, layers, and building up these layers to accomplish a level of gradients that we are happy with and or looking for. If I want, I'm going to come over here and extend this boundary out a bit more as well. With a little bit of fine lining right there. There we go. And that actually helps me focus on my posture, my comfort, and my positioning when applying these. Which is also very important. Posture and position are very, very important when it comes to applying clean tattoos. There we go. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and reposition my posture, my position, to do a little bit of cross-hatching this way in efforts to smooth things out. So you can see there is a lot of real learning being done here that I'm going to take with me when I'm tattooing. A lot of these applications that I'm using here are identical to the same way that I would apply a real tattoo, whether it's on fake or human skin. You could even see some arrows are pointing at cross-hatching if we need to smooth things out. So I can even move in these sort of directions to kind of bring the shading out a little bit more, as you saw. You can go like this as well if I'd like. So you can see I'm figuring out what feels most natural and comfortable to me to help apply these shadings in the smoothest way that I can apply them. It really is just a process of patience, layers, and building it all up. I think the more patient and smooth we are, the smoother our results are going to be. As you can see. There we go. So the concept is very straightforward. This is the actual process, just kind of repeating this patiently and calmly until I've finished this entire exercise. Here's another angle right here that you can see. So where I begin is establishing this boundary. Using pendulum motions like so. So you can see how these areas are coming out a little sparse and inconsistent. I'm gonna have to slow my hand speed down to space my pixels out a little closer together and a little bit more consistently together. So you can see that it's helping me identify my inconsistencies so I know how to fix them. I want to stay at the same paceful motions. That's the only way to really accomplish smooth shading, is if we move with consistency. Here we are at a top view, and I feel like this is a great place to conclude this video right here. That is what we can expect from the shading journal. I do hope that I can give you some sort of insight so that way you can know what to expect on your end. However, should you have any questions at all, I encourage you to please drop a comment down below. I'll do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. If you are interested in picking up a copy for yourself, I will be leaving my Amazon affiliate links for you in the description below so you can check out these workbooks on your end. That'll be it for this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that bell for me, as I'm going to be bringing more workbooks like this for you all and more videos like this for you. I do also have social medias under the same name as my YouTube. I would appreciate the support over there as well. With that being said, I appreciate your time and I thank you for watching. You have a great day.